All right. Good morning. This is Judge Alyssa Perez presiding over the 210th District Court criminal docket for March 29, 2022. All matters being heard today are being heard in accordance with all emergency orders and directives regarding COVID-19. In addition to that, we are streaming all matters live via YouTube for public viewing. Mr. Madufo, would you call our first case, please?
Yes, ma'am. On page 4, Sanchez, bottom of the page. Cause number 2020 0D02041. State of Texas versus Sanchez Filemon Mitchell. Announcement of counsel, please.
Roa King for the state of Texas. Good morning, Judge.
Good morning.
Derek Wyatt on behalf of Mr. Sanchez. We're ready to proceed for the morning session, Your Honor.
Good morning, Mr. Wyatt. I just want to be clear. He only has one case. Why do I feel like Mr. Sanchez had more than one? I don't see any others. I see a co-defendant.
I just see one, Judge.
Yes, okay. I don't know. I tend to remember Mr. Sanchez, so maybe I feel like he had more than one, but maybe I'm giving him too much credit.
Yeah.
We're here on a final hearing plea deadline. I think I had heard we were at a plea, but I don't recall getting any plea paperwork. Maybe we did. It's been a minute.
No, ma'am, we have not had a chance to get the plea paperwork, and it's not from lack of effort, Your Honor.
Okay.
I talked to my client in person right before our last hearing on the 15th, and I talked to him on the phone after. My staff has also talked to the sister and the family. We had a jail call for the plea papers to be done yesterday, but that call never happened, which is quite common.
Okay.
Ironically, and that was in the afternoon. Ironically, I was at the jail yesterday and saw 5 people, but I thought this Filemon Sanchez matter was being resolved by Annie. So okay. My office accepts responsibility for that. So we're making sure that we're going to be able to see him today, Judge, and get this done. So I asked the court for 1,000 pardons for not getting it done, Judge.
No worries. I know Mr. Sanchez's kind of history and the difficulty, so commend you on having gotten this far. I'm willing to give you a window. So I'll just reset the final hearing plea deadline for April 19th, which is a Tuesday. That's just a window, Mr. Wyatt, for you all to square away the plea paperwork, and then we'll get you a plea date. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, perfect. Final hearing plea deadline, April 19th. Is that a Tuesday? Yes. Gracias.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Roa. You guys have a great day and God bless.
Same to you.
Bye-bye.
Who's next, Mr. Marufo?
Mr. Yades Luis on page 1 for Alvarez Rito.
Go ahead.
In cause number 2021 0D01945, State of Texas versus Rito Alvarez. Announcement of counsel, please.
Roa King for the state of Texas.
Ms. Janice, on behalf of Mr. Rito Alvarez, Your Honor, good morning.
And again, another final hearing plea deadline, Ms. King.
Your Honor, the plea or the rec is 15 TDC.
All right. So, Mr. Yanez.
Your Honor, we've been preparing this trial to go for a jury trial because I was under the impression that Ms. King was not going to offer anything. That was the last that we heard.
Is 15 a new rec?
That's the
No,
first
Your Honor,
one. And I hadn't looked at the rec tab, Your Honor, until this morning. And so I have not conveyed the 15 TDC to my client.
Okay.
I would ask for a little bit of time to go and tell him that, Judge. I can probably get it done by the end of the day.
Okay.
Your Honor, the rec was placed on January 13 of 2022.
The last hearing, yes. And
Okay, that's fine. I get it. There wasn't a rec for the longest time, and now I know it's hard to say, Mr. Yanez, but how workable do you think? Like, is it any chance of being a realistic rec? Or I'm trying to see, do we really need to just find a new good trial date?
Judge, 15 might be a little bit high, and you know, I have not called Ms. King because I wasn't aware of that rec. So I don't know if there's a little bit of a wiggle room to get this thing done, but there's always the possibility of a plea.
Okay, so let me bring you all back on a reset of the final hearing plea deadline in 2 weeks. Okay?
Yes, Your Honor. And I apologize for,
No, not a worry. Sometimes, I mean, I get it. There was no rec for a while. So if there's going to be some negotiating from there and it's possible, we'll have you set for the 19th. What I'll tell you is if you can get it done and you actually think like if you end up at 12 or something like that, and you think it can be done, we can do the plea on the 19th if you get us the plea paperwork. Okay?
yes, Your Honor.
If we're not there and we're really, no, this is still going to be a trial, then on the 19th, we'll come up with a good trial date.
Okay, yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Yanez, is there anything, I got to imagine we might need some hearings before a trial? Anything that requires a hearing?
At this point, no, Judge, but
Okay.
we would request a hearing outside the presence of the jury. There's a witness, I believe she's 7 or 8 years old right now, and but I think we can take care of that at trial.
Okay. So we'll just reset the final hearing plea deadline, cancel this Friday's trial for April 19th. We'll do the final hearing plea deadline, see where we are.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. Who's next? Yes, you may.
Mr. Avila, page 1, bottom of page 1 and top of page 1.
Okay.
In cause number 2020-0D0-1367 and 2021-0D0-2463, State of Texas versus Marcos Elizar Avila. Announcement of counsel, please.
Roa King for the state of Texas.
Roberto Sanchez on behalf of Mr. Avila, ready to proceed.
Okay. And I think, is this the one where I think we got the plea papers today, Mr. Sanchez?
Yes, Judge. Either late yesterday afternoon or this morning. Yes, Judge.
Okay. And so if that's where we are, if we're just pending plea papers, then you can anticipate having the plea set 1 week from today at the jail slot. Your client's in custody, okay? I don't think we can get him in the jail slot today. So.
That's fine, Judge.
Okay, so we'll see you in 1 week.
Thank you, Judge. May I be excused?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Have a good one, Judge.
You too. Who's next, Mr. Marufo?
On page 2, Judge,
Mhm.
Mr. Campa, Gerardo.
Okay.
In cause number 2018-0D0-3091, State of Texas versus Campa Gerardo. Announcement of counsel, please.
Roa King for the state of Texas.
Daniel Avilar for Gerardo Campa. Good morning, Your Honor. How are you?
Good morning. I'm all right. How are you?
I'm good.
Probation status, and then we have our new DWI. Yeah. And Mr. Campa's here. I know he checked in.
Yes, Judge, Miss
And
King and
Mr.
I have.
Yeah, go ahead, talk.
Yeah, Miss King and I have been. There's some stuff missing in Portal, Your Honor, that we kind of need. But we've been in talks, and I know she's assured me she's trying to get that.
What's missing? Because with respect, I think Carla's going to remind me, with respect to the probation case, we really are on a tight timetable at this point. And I'm not even sure if I'm there on an extension. So what is outstanding on the new case and how critical is it?
We're looking at like an early April kind of a deadline in terms of the probation matter. What's missing is, I'm sorry?
April 18th.
Yeah. What's missing, Judge, is a dash cam and things like that.
Okay. So how soon are we going to get that?
Your Honor, I am trying to push to have an answer, I would say by Friday, the most. I have already escalated the request to see if a dash cam does exist.
Okay.
What do you want to do, Judge?
Well, if we're even going to try to be, I think I remember now from the last time that we were here, Mr. Campa was the one that kind of at COVID got away from us. And I think ultimately we're probably really looking at extending his probation, putting him on more probation. And so we need to do this quickly. Oh, can you wrap it up by the 12th of April?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So we'll see you on the 12th of April probation status hearing. I don't know what the new case has, but I feel confident that it's not going to have one in time to reach the probation case. So let's just reset these two probation status and the pretrial 2801s for 4/12. And really that for me is a wrap it up.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Judge, I wanted your permission, 10 seconds, Your Honor. I wanted your permission to call your court coordinator to set a probation status for a defendant. Something came up. She's at Aliviana and I wanted to talk to the court. Can I set up a hearing on that?
Of course, of course.
Okay. I'll call her.
What I will tell you, Mr. Avalar, is that you can anticipate, on Mr. Campa,
Mhm.
I need a good chunk of ACOP days on his new DWI, like
What's
30.
What's the
something like
max
that.
on this kind of a case?
I don't know, what's the max? I just want 30 days,
Okay.
okay?
Okay.
Because, yeah,
Okay. Sounds good.
no driving, all the same kind of stuff. I mean, I don't think it's out of the ordinary. We're just basically giving him standard conditions on the new one.
Understood.
Okay,
All right.
and pues, thank you.
Thank y'all. All right. Good.
Okay. Who's next?
On page 3, Judge, Ron,
Mhm. I'm sorry, who was that?
on page 3, for Ruben Ortiz, for Steve Duran.
Duran, okay.
Good morning, Judge.
Morning.
Good morning, Ms. King.
Good morning, Mr. Ortiz.
Go ahead.
In cause number 2021-0D0-1982, State of Texas versus Steve Duran. Announcement of counsel, please.
Roa King for the state of Texas.
And Ruben Ortiz on behalf of Mr. Duran.
And final hearing plea deadline, Ms. King.
Your Honor, so this one, we are actually waiting on a P file for a manufacturing and delivering.
Okay,
So I do not have a rec on portal.
okay. What's the status on that one? Have we made an inquiry?
We have actually sent a, let me see, a second request, I believe yesterday. Just let me make sure.
What's the alleged date of offense on that one?
That one should be March. March 5th of 2022.
Okay, so that one just came up. Okay, so we need a total reset on this one. We'll do Myrna, let's do this like we would one of the new cases. Let's do 2023 unless Mr. Ortiz has, do you have any objection to that, Mr. Ortiz, going into
No,
2023?
No, Your Honor.
Since we're anticipating this is going to be like a new case, we'll carry the new case. We'll do it into 2023 with a new slate of settings. Okay, so
Sounds good, Judge.
we'll get a new setting, and then hopefully if we get that new manufacturer delivery, we'll just track it with this one.
Sounds great.
Okay. All right, let's go to the next one. Who's next?
Same with Mr. Ortiz on page 3, Mr. Erives Armando Gonzalez.
Okay. Go
In
ahead.
cause number 2020-0D0-3206, State of Texas versus Armando Gonzalez Erives. Announcement, counsel, please.
Roa King for the state of Texas.
And Ruben Ortiz on behalf of Mr. Rivas Gonzalez.
All right, final hearing plea deadline. Same thing, Ms. King. What's the rec?
Your Honor, this is going to actually be a lesser for a Class A assault, 24 months straight probation.
Is this new today or had you already received that, Mr. Ortiz?
This
The
is,
new one, Your Honor. There's some
Your Honor.
immigration consequences, believe it or not, on this case, Judge.
Okay.
And I've given Ms. King, I think, did I give you that info? Did I give you a character packet as well, right?
I received it yesterday.
Okay.
That's why I
then I-
barely did the rec.
Yeah. And I also gave you some new information as to some witnesses, right?
I did not receive that, no.
Ooh, okay. Remember I called you on it? We spoke about it. On this
Oh,
case?
on the phone, yes.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
character packet came through the email, yes.
Yeah, right. So, Judge, on this, I just barely, I mean, there's some immigration. It's kind of weird because my client became a U.S. citizen
Mm-hmm.
after this event. So I can tell you that I've handled a federal case once where I defended a client who had a case. He had a felony case before he became a U.S. citizen, right?
Mm-hmm.
But after he signed some documents to become a U.S. citizen, and they were actually charging him with lying lying under perjury, because they ask you, have you ever committed a crime, or have you done this or done that? Of course, he put no, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they were trying to get him on that. I got the case resolved in that case, but I'm afraid in this case, Judge, that's going to come up too, because I'm pretty sure that on those forms, when you are becoming a U.S. citizen, they ask you, well, have you committed a crime? Well, of course he's going to put no, right?
Right. So
But I'm afraid that he could be deportable, believe it or not, because of that. So
let's give him a window. I think, okay, so we have some outstanding information to the DA may consider, might change the rec, and then give your client a window to look into some things. So let's do 2 months for now. We'll do May 17th, reset with the final hearing plea deadline. And then we'll go from there, see if we have any changes to the rec or your client's advice on the immigration stuff. Okay?
yes, thank you, Judge. Appreciate that.
All right, sure. Who's next?
Staying with Mr. Ortiz, bottom of page 3, Garza,
All right, go ahead.
in cause number 2020 0D06078, State of Texas versus Victor Esquivel Garza Torres. Announcement of council, please.
Well, it came for the state of Texas.
Ruben Ortiz, Mr. Garza Torres, Your Honor.
I show this one is being dismissed. Is that
That is
wrong?
correct, Judge.
Right.
It was dismissed.
Yeah. Okay.
And we have no objection, Your Honor.
You don't want to give it back?
No.
All right. Okay. So that one's gone. Yeah, we need to make sure
Great.
that one's closed down off the dock. All right. Is that the last one Mr. Ortiz has?
He has one more, Judge, on page 4. It's a pretrial motion for Mr. Gonzalez Jonathan.
Okay, you all want to take care of Jonathan Gonzalez? That way Mr. Ortiz can be done with our docket today.
Yes. Mr. Ortiz.
So Jonathan Gonzalez is that it's a possession of DWI, right?
Yes.
I'm sorry. It's a possession. He also has a DWI.
Yes, correct.
What if he takes a plea on the DWI and you can dismiss the possession?
And I believe that was the rec on.
Okay. There you go, Judge. We have no disagreements on this case.
You all are so good. All right. Take care of it. Thank you, Mr. Ortiz.
Thank you, Judge.
All right.
And
Who's
I've
next?
excused.
Yes, sir. Who's
Thank
next,
you.
Mr.
Bye,
Medical?
everyone.
Bye.
On page 5,
Uh-huh.
Mr. Nunez.
Go ahead.
In cause number 2017 0D05130, State of Texas versus Adrian Nunez. Announcement of council, please.
Well, King for the state of Texas.
Mr. Parra, you there?
Mr. Murph, I believe he said he will be, oh, there you go.
Thank you, ma'am. And here on Adrian Nunez.
Mhm. Sorry, I'm pulling up the report. And I think this was a reset, Mr. Parra. I think Your client was here last time, but you had a vacation or some out of pocket certificate. So give me 1 second. Let me just get the report. I got it.
Yes, Your Honor.
And I thought your client was here. Is he not here? Let me see.
My understanding he's logging
In the
in, or
waiting,
if he hasn't already, Judge. He might be.
Adrian Flores. I don't see him. I don't see him in the waiting room unless he's. If you can check with him and see if he's logged in.
I will, Judge.
Judge, he didn't check in on yesterday.
Check in yesterday.
Mhm.
But I know he was here last time, Parra, just so you know. So,
Oh, he's in the waiting room, Judge.
Okay.
Oh, there he is.
And Your Honor, I believe we just wanted to see how he was continuing to perform on probation, Judge. It's my understanding he's been doing well in terms of UAs, reporting, et cetera. And that the only setback is that he's unable to complete the community service hours, as I'm sure is commonly the case nowadays.
I think there's something with the counseling, and that's what they brought up last time, but we were holding up, we were waiting just to, so that you could be here. I don't know, is Mr. Eras gonna be here, Carla, or are you gonna handle it?
If he's going to cover, Your Honor, I'm not sure if you want Mr. Perez.
No, I don't think we need him.
I just wanted, if I may, Your Honor, unfortunately, I don't see that there's any update regarding the counseling. I see that he enrolled back, when he was instructed to attend back in December 2021. There's been issues I can see. I don't think Mr. Eras has actually obtained any proof from the counseling services that Mr. Nunez has been attending. I think Mr. Nunez has been asked by probation to please obtain some kind of proof, documentation, something, so that we can obtain that proof. But it's been unsuccessful. So that's something that we're pending. He has been reporting for his 2 times a month for testing, which they've been negative. He has been reporting. So again, the only thing we were trying to follow up was on the counseling, like you mentioned, but we don't have any proof that he is attending, just only based what he lets us know.
Right, and that's basically all that's outstanding, Mr. Parra, is that, and I think it is, at least it seems updated here on 3/28/22. SCSO Lopez ordered Mr. Nunez to call his counselor and request a progress report be emailed to be provided to the court. So that was just yesterday. And I think that's because as of the previous court hearing, they'd received no progress report. That conforms, Mr. Parra, with that report that they gave me at the last hearing. They're just having some issues getting confirmation that he's in some type of treatment. So, that's not the worst report in the world, but would like to have some confirmation of that. We've had, I think, basically kind of 3-month check-ins. I'm okay with following up with probation, and we're going to do a 6-month probation status. Basically, I'll just ask probation to continue to follow up with the counseling. And I know they will let me know if there are more problems in this. If they do the follow-up on the mental health end, that I think for me is sufficient rather than having us come back. And if something worse happens and we have, something that's more non-compliance, I know they'll also let me know. We'll do one last check-in in 6 months. Okay, Mr. Nunez? So you'll get a notice from probation. We'll do one last check-in. Other than that, to the extent you can get the counselors we need to get some proof over to probation. And quite honestly, if you do that, we're not coming back anymore, because as long as you stay on track, I'm not going to check. Is there still a motion outstanding on him?
Your Honor, I don't think there was an MTR.
There was no? Okay, so look, I don't want to mess with your schedule. You're reporting, you're doing everything you have to do on there. Why do you want to have to come back to court? right?
I
Or you wanna have
requested-
Your attorney to come back. So just.
I
get that-
requested a progress report from my counselor and she said she was gonna send it, but they're really bad at communicating, even with me. They always leave me on hold and I don't know, but I'm gonna try my best, ma'am.
Try and stay on top of it. If you stay on top
Yes.
of it, then we'll do one more 6-month review and I'll be done with it. Believe me.
Yes,
I don't wanna
ma'am.
Spend any more time if you're doing well, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Parra.
Thank you, ma'am.
Take care, guys. All
You
right.
too.
Who's next?
On page 3 with Mr. Brett Stevens or Elizabeth Franco. On page 3.
Okay. Go ahead.
In cause number 2019 0D0 485354, State of Texas versus Elizabeth Ed Franco. Announcement of council, please.
Roa King for the state of Texas.
Brent Stevens for Ms. Franco.
Final hearing plea deadline. What's the rec?
Your Honor, the rec, and we sent the plea paperwork, is 175 days on a 1244A.
Did I already sign these? I can't remember.
Not yet, Judge.
No, you still have them, Brett?
I've had problems speaking with Ms. Franco. She contacted me by email last night about 7:30 and said she doesn't have her phone. She finally got Wi-Fi. She asked, can I report tomorrow? So I responded by email and said, well, 9 a.m. Zoom, and I haven't heard from her since. So I'm asking for a final plea reset in person if we could.
Okay, so did I set this one defendant to appear via Zoom to plea? Because I'm assuming we already had an issue, right?
We have, this is a lady who is living in the women's shelter. I think she's just having financial issues mostly, but I'm having issues talking to her, but I think that could be resolved if we could have an in-person hearing.
I'll give you one last chance. April 19th at 11 a.m.
Okay, thank you,
That
Judge.
will be an in-person plea. If she doesn't show up, it's gonna be a warrant.
Yes, ma'am. And I sent an email this morning, Ms. King, about this case to you.
Okay, I'll open it.
All right,
Okay, thank you.
all righty. See you then. All right,
Bye.
who's next?
Judge, on page 5, Mr. Islas is here for Figueroa Abraham, but it's a status hearing.
Status, and then he's also got one on page, Mr. Figueroa has
Page 3
page 3 status, yeah.
was the same.
Okay, so is there anything else that needs to go on the record?
I don't believe so, Your Honor.